As far as I know, such a concept as honest money is relative, because from the point of view of each of us, the very concept of honesty is relative. And how can it not be relative, if every person either lies or fibs from time to time? Sincerity as such is a rare phenomenon. Maybe some of you will say that I am definitely an honest person, I tell everything as it is. I will answer you only one thing: you do not know how to lie, therefore you do not lie properly, but do it crookedly, and for the most part unconsciously. In general, I hope that as smart people, you will not argue with me about this and will not resist, because as you read this article, it is extremely important to understand what kind of people we all really are, at least in most cases. So, what do you think honest money is? Is it money that you consider honestly earned, money that is earned according to the law of the state, or is it some other money that is conventionally called honest in society? For example, there is such an interesting point of view in society, according to which you cannot live honestly. If you work honestly and earn money honestly, then in the end you will be left without pants. I, in turn, do not agree with this at all, for the simple reason that honest work solves the money problem in the short term, if of course you work wisely and for yourself. Deception and fraud solve the money problem in the short term, however, sometimes you can repeat the procedure, considering the idiocy of some people, which is what pyramids do, which recently made themselves known again. And yet, let's be frank with ourselves, if we cannot honestly earn a lot of money, that is, not just by deceiving people's money, but also giving them something no less valuable in return, this indicates our insufficient development and nothing more. Well, I have already touched on the topic of honest money, from the point of view of defining this concept as such, because you can't just stipulate something, just so that everyone takes it on faith. I recommend you read my article, which is called How to Attract Money, so that you can understand what the essence of attracting it is. You will see that the qualities that I describe there, and which will really lead you to big money, will more likely relate to honest money than to dishonest. But, on the other hand, I won't lie, in order for there to be rich people, there must also be poor people, this is a fact, therefore, most poor people will call you dishonest, call you a thief, and will generally be negatively disposed towards you if you succeed in life, except perhaps those who will truly admire you. Now you understand why I said at the beginning of the article that the concept of honest money is too relative. After all, you can look at it either with hungry or full eyes. Money by law. To be honest, I wanted to write a separate article about legal money, which I will still have time to do, because from my point of view this is such an interesting topic that its detailed consideration could solve many human problems. Basically, these are, of course, psychological problems with a material tint, but they are certainly reflected in a person's financial situation, so now we will definitely touch on this topic. Money according to the law is a game by someone else's rules, in which you are not envisaged as a winner, unless of course you come close to those who actually establish these rules. The social pyramid is designed in such a way that at each level, people of a certain mindset feel very comfortable. Let's say you're in business, you start earning normal money, which you can use to buy expensive toys, have a nice life, and have some power over people of lower status, but nevertheless, you're playing someone else's game, and if you as a player stop satisfying the interests of the masters of the situation, they will simply replace you, and your money will turn into nothing. Money in itself is nothing, but the law, that is, the generally accepted form of violence, that's what really has power. Money can bring you to power, but this is not a rule. You can have a lot of money and completely screw up with power, while the power will certainly provide for itself with these candy wrappers. And what kind of legality can we talk about in this case, if today you earn according to the law, like honest money, and tomorrow you are already outside the law, and that's it, you are a thief and a criminal. I will not name names and situations, because if you follow what is happening both in our country and abroad, then you understand the essence of my words. In my article entitled Money and Evil, I basically wrote about this. I wrote about how a person endows money with certain qualities, strength, and power, while all these things depend on him, on a person. Without a person, there will be no money, there will be no power of money, the power of money, there will be no ideology associated with them. And a lot depends on the person who has power, including the law, which, as I have already said, is written to limit everyone except the government itself. You can collect money from the population in such a way that they will not be against it in principle, but the court can recognize you as a fraudster, just for the simple reason that you did not satisfy the conditions of those in power. On the other hand, the state can, and has done it many times, devalue the national currency, and thereby turn many years of work of some people into dust. And this will not be unfair and wrong, well, at least from the point of view of the law. Therefore, dear friends, no matter how honest and correct from the point of view of the law you are, do not think that you are untouchable if you have no power, and also no money. This is not the most comfortable situation, I tell you. Here they can release a murderer from custody, blaming all the blame on circumstances and other uninspired and incompetent subjects, and at the same time, they can put you in jail for allegedly not paying taxes. This is the true power, as I want, so it will be, and what difference does it make whether it happens under the guise of democracy or any other state system? There is no difference at all. You can deceive yourself as much as you like, including in relation to a better life, which, as many think, is somewhere. Open your eyes, it's the same everywhere, a person is the same everywhere, molded from the same thing. Do you think everything is so bad in our country? Not at all. Pay attention to how cynical America is in relation to both its citizens and the whole world. The world crisis did not affect only it, it made everyone work for pennies, and in America itself, people generally worked for free, because a slave is a slave everywhere and the attitude towards him will be appropriate everywhere. So while you are under the law, and not above it, the amount of money you have does not guarantee your safety, and you don't even have to believe me, just look at our history, it will confirm my words. Proven honesty, I think everything is clear with the state and the law, but I will write more articles on this topic, so that many of you, dear readers, become more adequate people, which will allow us to change our attitude towards each other a little. But in addition to the main law, there are also unspoken laws, a kind of understanding in society, according to which there is a certain morality, according to which something is good and something is bad, somehow it is right to earn money, and somehow not. At the beginning of the article I mentioned this, saying that for money, something should be given to people in return, which, according to their understanding, is equivalent, and therefore, the money itself will then be honest. Usually, something concrete, physical, something that can be touched, felt and kept is valued. Well, it is clear that there are also services, training and other things that should cost money, and we pay for them without much regret. But still, given the majority's idea of true values, I must note that people are ready to pay for anything that is imposed on them, even for outright junk. And if the thing they bought, even if it is not physical, but generally calm their ego, then there will be no claims against you regarding this way of earning money. But there is another point of view, or rather an emotional component in relation to some people, those who have no money or little money, to those who have it. In my article, which is called Money Addiction and which I strongly recommend you read, I write about emotional addiction hidden under different forms of our behavior. Often people want money, even when they clearly do not need it. They treat those who have a lot of money in the same way, who did not steal, did not cheat, did not do anything bad at all, who simply showed ingenuity and earned a lot of money, but he is still bad. Well, how can he not be bad if he has money, if he is so smart and adaptable? But we are not, it is not our fault, something is wrong with the rich, they are bad. This concept, of course, comes from, firstly, psychological oppression. After all, the life of a poor person is noticeably worse than the life of a rich person, and the attitude towards poor people is not the best. Nevertheless, there is also egoism, unconsciousness, and laziness, who actually prevents a person from earning as much money as he wants. No one interferes, he can only interfere with himself, finding an excuse for his laziness in everything without exception. So honesty in relation to earning money, in this case, is generally an inappropriate concept, since to look the truth in the eye and understand why someone has money, and you do not, you need courage, and many have too small intestines for this. Here, to dispossess, to take from the rich and give to the poor, this is right, from the point of view of the poor, this is honest. You yourself, in your stupidity, gave money to a man, as a result of which he became rich, and you want to take it from him by force, because you are supposedly right. I hope you do not adhere to such a concept, dear readers, because this is the concept of an unconsciously living weakling, behind which there is nothing but a constant redistribution of goods, through violence, of which humanity is already tired. So will the money be fair? Considering all of the above, or rather written, which I believe does not cause disputes among you, dear friends, because I wrote impartially, relying solely on logic. Well, taking into account these conclusions of mine, we certainly come to the question of honest money, as possibly not a real phenomenon at all. Considering the egoism of man, what kind of honest money can there be if it has never been and will never be evenly distributed? Moreover, this is not necessary, otherwise a person's life will become gray. Please read, if possible, my article entitled Lack of Money, for a full and deeper understanding of what I am writing about here, in this article. Each of my articles complements all my other articles, forming in the person reading them one general picture of the world, related mainly to money. Understand that relativity in this life is not so much the law of this world, as the necessity of it for ourselves. I think that it is possible to come to an objective understanding of honest money, in the minds of the overwhelming majority of people and without revising this concept, only when the majority of people become stronger from a moral point of view and more conscious. It is clear that we will never be equal, but being less status, but realizing that you have the strength to change everything, I believe that we will definitely not have madness in relation to money. When a person sells his ass, this is honest money for us, but when he sells the ass of another person, he is not an honest person. But why does this same other person allow his ass to be sold, if the mere desire not to do so will allow him to find an answer as to how not to do so? Who then is to blame for the exploitation of some people by others, perhaps the exploiters? By giving responsibility for yourself into someone else's hands, you yourself agree to become a cash cow, driven by base goals in the form of primitive needs. Once I had to work in a terrible job, where people were not considered people, but nevertheless, both I and other people worked there. The management told us so, that we were not people, but cattle, and I will perish in this place if I say that they, the management, were wrong. Then, we really were, no matter how hard it was for us to admit it. The whole point is that people's attitude to themselves, especially the attitude of people in a group to each other, actually defines them as either people or dogs ready to tear each other's throats out for a bone thrown to them. Well, what kind of respect can there be for such people? How can they be paid good money? Why do this? This is not a lyrical digression, this is all applicable to the concept of honest money, because some people call this very animal existence an honest life, and therefore they also call their way of earning money honest. I managed to get out of that shit, but I did it not by finding another job, although of course I did, but first of all by changing my worldview, revising my attitude to myself and suppressing my ego. And now I am helping each of you to take the same step, not by telling you miraculous ways to earn a huge amount of money, but by changing your understanding of them. I have no doubt that those of you, dear readers, who will take my articles seriously, who will read them regularly and delve into them, will then say a huge thank you to me. I do not deceive, I do not manipulate people, I do not sell them crap, I do not sell air, but at the same time, I have enough money, because I can attract attention to my person and my offers. This is an equal exchange on my part, this is honest money, no one is offended by anyone in such an exchange. So is it worth being honest? This question, you must agree, also logically follows from everything I wrote above, because if the ideas of honesty and correctness are still relative, then maybe it is not worth trying to be an honest person at all? Maybe only to observe the law and nothing more, and everything else is still dust? In general, this makes sense, really. If people are idiots, then why should you match their idiocy? Why shouldn't you create pyramids, profitable investments, at awesome interest rates? Why shouldn't you teach with a stick those who simply do not want to think? But let's look at this issue, not even from the point of view of public morality, but from the personal point of view of the interests of each of us, that is, from the egoistic point of view. What problems can we have, in terms of making big money on other people or with the help of other people, and not leaving them with nothing, so that they do not get angry and offended at us? I do not see any problems in this at all. I am even inclined to conclude that scammers rather harm themselves than benefit when, instead of receiving income from a chicken laying eggs on a regular basis, they can only pluck it once. With such a variety of methods like honest earnings, why is it necessary to stupidly deceive people? Stupidly, when you grab and run away like a rat. The answer is simple, it's easier. Sometimes even faster. And there is not enough intelligence for more. People are milked perfectly well on a regular basis, and they are happy about it, but for this you need to find the right approach to them, which not every person can do. Fraudsters definitely don't know how to do this. Well, yes, you can say that what difference does it make whether you rob people one way or another, be honest or try to look like one, because anyway, when you become rich, there will be those who will judge you, for whom you will be a thief, and who should be hanged. People are envious and ungrateful anyway, so you don't have to worry too much about their thoughts about you, and you can cheat them out of money the way it is convenient in this or that case. You can do it constantly, okay, once, that's also great. But think about what is more practical, more reliable, more stable. Let's say people go to stores, they buy junk they don't need and are happy about it. They themselves give money for something that sometimes has no value for them, except for virtual, imaginary, and this allows them to profit from them constantly. That's what's amazing. In fact, you can pinch people, as I said above, for their own pleasure. You paint an illusion for people and they pay you for it, and even if from your point of view it is not very smart on their part, and your money can be called dishonest if you make not quite an equal exchange, but in their minds it is not so. They like such deception, they do not consider it a deception, a fraud. And then everyone is happy, both the one who shears the sheep beautifully, and the sheep themselves. Well, so, receiving, of dubious quality pleasure from life, well, this is from my point of view, people get an empty wallet in return. They don't like it, but they themselves go to those who empty their wallets, for another portion of pleasure, even if it consists of complete shit. Well, so what? You feel sorry to give people shit, why should you deceive them from their point of view? Let your money for them be maybe not the most honest, but still not outright fraudulent. So, I, in turn, am going to make a lot of money by selling my book about money. I haven't yet decided what it will be called, what and how I will explain in it, but I will write it in such a way that after reading it, a person will really turn his idea of this life upside down. I will write it and sell it here, on this site, sell it in very large quantities, and make money. Do you know why I will sell it? Because it will be a good book that will help every person make their life more satisfying. And it will be a book that will not really become a bone in the throat, for the money you will pay for it. But first, I must inspire your trust, because I understand that it is not easy to simply see promising writings for yourself. You should first understand whether I am a chatterbox or not, namely understand and believe in me, because you cannot see this, because your level of awareness, as well as mine, is not high enough. But I will tell you this book, as possibly others, I have not yet decided how many of them I will write, will not make me a millionaire. Well, maybe I will become a ruble millionaire, in the sense that I will earn 1,000,000 rubles on the book. I have been a millionaire for a long time. But I am unlikely to become a dollar millionaire, thanks to the book. Most likely I will not. Do you know why? Because people do not need anything valuable, only a few need valuable things, but crap is designed for the masses. Tell me that I am wrong, tell me that I am mistaken and the modern consumer is a barter in his purchases? Yes, even now valuable goods, the most valuable books, even in free access are not needed by anyone, and what do people spend their money on? What do they work like horses every day for? Answer this question for yourself, and think about whether what you pay for changes your life, in addition to food, water, shelter, pants that you need. This is the idea that people have about honest money, what they pay for, that is what they see as truth for themselves, that is what they see as honest money. A person's values, by which he lives, essentially define honest money for him, because if he spends it, he must see meaning in it for himself, which can be in anything.